And so day 2 of the Rugby World Cup begins in beautiful fashion. It's a marvellous day at Eden Park in Auckland as we look for two very interesting teams, Romania and Zimbabwe. And to describe this Rugby World Cup match, we introduce our commentators today, Brendan Telfer and Graham Thorne.
Well, I don't imagine there are too many names in this Romanian side this afternoon that mean a great deal to us here in New Zealand, but it's a very experienced side that the Romanian team have brought to New Zealand. Included in their side are a number of players, 3 in fact, that were in this on the New Zealand tour back in 1975. And they probably will start this match as the favourites. The Zimbabweans, something of an unknown quantity. And as we look around here at Eden Park, the questionable wisdom of inviting 16 teams to the World Cup means that many of these pool matches will attract only marginal public interest. And alas, this is one of these matches. I imagine there's probably a crowd here of somewhere less than 2,000 people. But it really is a historic afternoon because in my memory, and Graham Thorne might like to just confirm this is probably the first time ever in rugby in New Zealand where an international match has been played between two teams, neither of which is New Zealand.
That's right, Brendan, but what a tremendous day it is, and I'm sure that the Romanians there sitting in the stand, and there was Romanian, not reserves, but just the members of their squad sitting in front of Mr. John Dick and his wife. But what a magnificent day it is, Brendan, and Eden Park, in fact, it is in perfect order. I can't remember it looking so good. It's a tribute to the groundsman, Eddie Thorne, and his ground staff. If you look at it now from the number 8 stand or terraces, it's really beautiful, Brendan.
In fact, it's probably the first time that I've ever worked at a rugby match at Eden Park in short sleeves and an open neck shirt. It's so warm up here at the top of the stand. So the Romanian side with a solid seam of experience. A third of this team have over 40 caps each to their credit, and interestingly enough, all 15 players have played at least 3 internationals. The side will be captained by their 32-year-old Bucharest halfback Paraschif, who was one of the 2 members in the side that toured New Zealand in 1975. The other was the first 5'8" Alexandru. The Zimbabweans have taken a conservative approach to the naming of their side for this important match. There is only one new cap in the team. That's 23-year-old right winger Peter Kolbak. Their pack is 1 kilogram per man heavier than the Romanians, but slightly shorter in height. They have apparently a dynamic number 8 and 22-year-old Mark Neal. He's over 109 kilograms at 17 stone and is the key man in their pack. And the side will be captained by their halfback, Malcolm Jellicoe. Mircea Paraschif from Bucharest, captain of this Romanian side and a key figure also in the coaching of it, I've noticed over the past few days. A very passionate, voluble fellow who really stamps his mark on the training sessions here. You can hear him from a mile away, and I'm sure our microphones down the 2 touchlines this afternoon will be hearing and capturing a lot of his voice. Very colourful sight. The Romanian rugby team back on the rugby playing turf of New Zealand after an absence of 12 years. They made a big impression here when they were here in 1975 on an 8-match tour. A tour which will be best remembered for a meritorious 10-all draw they earned at Athletic Park against the New Zealand junior side. Their rugby has been on a bit of a roller coaster since then. They've had some very good wins, but also some rather crashing defeats.
Well, the Zimbabwe side doesn't seem to want to come onto the field. They're in the all-black dressing shed. Here they come now, led by their skipper, Jellicoe.
And also captaining the opposing side today is the halfback. So the 2 captains today wearing the number 9 jersey. This is the Zimbabwean team. Their pack is slightly heavier than the Romanians, but they concede a little bit of a height in the lineouts. The 2 Romanian locks are a couple of inches taller than the 2 Zimbabwean locks. But man for man, they measure all pretty well. So a very historic moment for these Zimbabwean rugby players, their first ever appearance in New Zealand, and I'm sure they are aware of the importance of doing well in this match this afternoon. They know that for the development of their rugby, they must play well to ensure that they will be at the next World Cup, and I imagine they are 15 very tense young men down there on Eden Park at the moment. stirring national anthem there from the Romanians. The last time I heard that was at the Olympic Stadium at Los Angeles in 1984 at the Olympic Games, and it's still a very vivid sound and image from it.
I was talking to the Zimbabwe coach, Brian Murphy, just before the game, and said, you're going to have a go at these guys in the backs, and Brian said to me, no, Thorny, we're going to take them on up front. He reckons that they aren't as strong up front as people say so. So it'll be an interesting battle, because usually the African forwards are quite good. There's the referee, Steve Hilditch of Ireland, in the strip of the World Cup referees. They all wear the same strip.
And the youngest man on the field, 19-year-old Craig Brown, the Zimbabwe first 5'8", starts this World Cup match here at Eden Park, the second match of this championship, and that's an inauspicious start by the Zimbabweans, out on the full.
And immediately the Rhodesians grabbed the ball that went into touch. They weren't going to be caught napping like the Italians yesterday. Their hooker Bray quickly got the ball, the Zimbabwe side.
Well, if this tournament is a learning experience for some of these younger teams, it's obvious that the Zimbabweans are learning already. There's Craig Brown, the man who made that rather nervous and tentative start to the match. He's only 19 years of age, so it's understandable if he's sensing a few butterflies in his stomach at the moment. It's the biggest day in the long history of Zimbabwe rugby. They've been playing rugby in that country since just before the turn of the century. Let's have a look how these scrums. That's a good scrum by the Romanians. Paraskaf, Raducanu at the back of the scrum for Romania. Going down over the ball. Romanian forwards have been penalised, and a defensive penalty to Zimbabwe. And it'll be Brown again from almost an identical spot to where he started the match to kick once again for touch. And this time he's done quite the opposite. He's failed to find touch, but I think in the course of the tackle, Alexandru Marin stepped into touch just outside the 22. So some credit after all to Craig Brown. He's brought his side deep down into the Romanian 22. And there's ball there for the Romanians. Brown, and a slightly misdirected kick, which is skewed off the side of his boot. It's coming down in the middle of the field. The Romanians have it 10 metres out from their 22. Paraskif looking for Dumitru. It's a very good kick from this very experienced first 5'8", or fly half in the Romanian side, Dumitru Alexandru. He, along with the halfback, the man inside of him, Paraskaf, were both members of the Romanian team in New Zealand in '75, and between them they have 99 international caps. In fact, it's probably the most experienced inside combination here at this World Cup. Marin coming in from the right wing. Some innovation from the Romanians early in the match. Ball was knocked forward. So we come back for the scrum. Midway 22 and halfway. These two teams who do know something about each other. They've played each other a couple of times over the last 5 years. They met in a two-match series in Zimbabwe a couple of years ago. Both were won in high-scoring matches by the Romanians. It's an awful pass. And Vasily David comes in from the left centre to Marin, who's seeing a lot of ball on the right wing. Back inside to Moraru. Midway 22 and halfway. It's there again for Paraskif, Dumitru, Stopan, David. It's a very good tackle by Zimba on David, but he manages to walk away from it. Vasily David.
A good setup too by the Romanians there. The ball going down. Murario just put the ball down. They went right over it, and then the ball went out to the left.
Another good scrum by the Romanians. That's a better pass from Paraskif. He misses out David. Tofan. Twada's up from fullback. That pass looked forward. It was Twada who was trying to place the ball ahead of the defender, so it meant that he had to drift the ball forward. Marin looks as if he's in trouble.
Yes, it looks like he could have pulled a hamstring, actually. He looks as if he's done it like a trotter there on the right leg. But he put the gas on the right, Marin, and I think it just went. He's pointing to it now. But good play by the Romanians to get the ball, and it was Tuada that came into the back line, and see the way that Ferreira comes in and the way that it's taken there by Marin, and about there it is, it went, you can see it in action, and he knew exactly what he'd done, and he is not enjoying it at all.
A very unfortunate start for Alexandra Marin, a 29-year-old chef from the province of Graviti in Romania.
He even looks like a chef, doesn't he, Brendan?
Well, he's hoping the Zambucks can cook up something to get his leg functioning a little better, or that hamstring with a bit of flexibility into it, because he doesn't look very well at the moment. And I think when they go, you usually go off as well. And Paraski, who's anxiously signalling to the grandstand. And that, sadly, could be the end of the World Cup campaign. Well, certainly as far as this match is concerned for Marin. So the Romanians at the moment with just 13 men on the field, and this is Liviu Hodoka who will come on and replace Marin on the right wing. The prop forward Buchan has been penalised there by the referee, Mr. Hilditch, for collapsing that scrum, and Brown will kick the touch again. The Romanians are sparkling in the sunshine here. They do have a reputation, rightly or wrongly, as being fairly dour practitioners of the art of rugby, but what we've seen of them so far has been positively sparkling.
There's no excuses today, Brendan. As I keep saying, the ground is in perfect condition for rugby football.
Radu Khan, the tallest man in the Romanian team. He's the number 8 who takes his place in the middle of the lineup. He's been winning good ball for them so far. Alexandru fails to find touch. Andy Ferreri, the Zimbabwean fullback, and they're going to run it as well. Good kick ahead by Graham. And, well, this is good stuff here. Callback, there's some support here. Callback to Zimba, and the first try of the match. Yes! Superb counter rugby from the Zimbabweans. It started from the misdirected kick, remember, from their fullback Andy Ferreira, and right against the run of play, the Zimbabweans have stung the Romanians, the favourite for this match, and are ahead by 4 points to 0. Started from the misdirected kick, remember. It came to the fullback Ferreira, and the new man on the Zimbabwe side this afternoon, Paul Korbach, playing on the right wing, put the kick ahead, and he chased it hard. There was some confusion in the Romanian defence. The bounce wasn't kind. Korbach followed up, and Richard Zimba, this young man playing at right centre for Zimbabwe this afternoon, was too fast in his sprint to the goal line and scores the first points of the match.
The wonderful thing about rugby football is that you always follow up, and that was a pretty terrible kick. But a rugby ball is not round, and that's what made the point. It looked like it could have been suspect there, but he came through, and there was the try coming up to Zimba.
Kick from Ferreira is out to the left. But what a fillip.
A charge. A premature charge.
Too early. And so he's allowed the option. You can have the kick again.
And there's a no charge, of course. And you don't see that very often in Test rugby. But Steve Hilditch saw that it actually, as Philip Lees would say, a false start. Just watching the replay, there he came back. Someone just to the right.
So after 8 minutes of play in this match, the Zimbabweans, and I suppose this might be an opportune time to remind Graham Thorne of the prediction he made before the match, that the Romanians would win this game by 35 points. Well, it's early days yet. What a great start by the Zimbabwe team. And it's all going right for them at the moment. And Ferreira even has a second shot at trying to convert this try. Well, perhaps he needs a third attempt. He's getting closer, but you don't even get 1 point for that. And so the score remains at 4-0 in favour of Zimbabwe.
Ladies and gentlemen, the replacement for Romania,
This is the new man, Liviu Hodoka, also an experienced international player coming onto the right wing for Romania. Florio Morario sets up nice ball again for Alexandru. And a poorly misdirected kick at goal from a drop goal by Alexandra. And he's going to have to watch his kicking because it was a misdirected kick that gave away that first try. This is Alexandru Lungu on the left wing for Romania, putting pressure on Ferreira. Well taken by Andy Ferreira. Andy Ferreira, interesting fellow at fullback for the Zimbabweans this afternoon. He's a professional tennis player. So, in fact, sport is his life. In fact, he's got no great pedigree in the game of tennis itself, but is a keen and ardent student of the game and took the Zimbabwe national schoolboy side to Germany last year. And when he hasn't playing tennis, he's involved with rugby. And there's Ferreira in the play again. Now playing as a dummy halfback. In fact, he is the second string halfback in the side as well. Short, stocky fellow. But it's Paraskap again. Stefan Constantine, number 5, the lock forward for Romania, tries to make a few feet up towards the 22, but the whistle had gone. So the match has been played at a brisk pace. It's been 10 minutes old. And for the small crowd that are here, I'm sure they're certainly enjoying what they've seen so far.
Yeah, it is a pity there's not more people here, Brendan, because it could be a very good game. And in fact, it's the only test match I think I've ever attended that I could actually count the spectators of the test match and not be far out.
Raducanu controlling it again. It's picked up by Dumitras. These very good loose forwards for Zimbabwe are winning a lot of ball from the loose. And again they managed to disrupt sufficiently that Romanian scrum and profited by 50 metres from it.
This, of course, will be the biggest moment of all for Zimbabwe. A place in the World Cup. A lot of people said they shouldn't be here. I know, talking to Colin Meads, he was adamant they shouldn't be here.
Dumitru Stofan, but he's taken in a very heavy tackle just outside his 22. So the Romanians willing to run it from inside their 22, which is not what we would have expected. And Neil, who clearly was offside there. Mark Neil, a big blonde number 8 for Zimbabwe. There he is, just to the right of your picture there, Mark Neil. 109 kilograms, and there wouldn't be too many number 8s in world rugby that would weigh in 17.5 stone. It's a huge kick from the little man, Alexandru. It's going to show that it's not how big you are when it comes to kicking a football. It's like swinging a golf club. It's all to do with timing.
Well, you prove that, Brendan.
There he is, Mark Neil, who's the key man in the Zimbabwe pack. He's the tallest and heaviest, but surprises me that he's languishing at the back of the line-out. I thought he might have been better used in the middle of the line-out, where the Romanians are getting quite a lot of ball.
The Romanians are actually jumping with Raducanu in the middle, Brendan, as you say.
Well, that's right. It's interesting that both these packs, the two tallest men, are both the number 8s. Well, there we see Neil going up, but I seem to come off his hand, and if anything, he knocked it forward, and it's the Romanians that have it. Alexandru with a little kick over the top. And again, Andrew Ferreira, he's having a very good game at fullback. He picked that kick from Alexandru. And he undid some of his good work by putting the ball into touch on the foot. But he saw the kick coming from Alexandru, and he positioned himself well for the catch. Emilian Grigore with the throw. Fortuitously bounces in the arms to Jellicoe. Brown and Zimba with the dummy, looking for support, finds it in the form of Jellicoe. Lost forward by Jellicoe, but the referee, by the look of it, playing advantage. No, he's coming back for the scrum. Notice these Northern Hemisphere referees aren't quite so schooled in the art of using their hands for the signals, and there was no indication there that he was playing the advantage other than the fact that he let the game continue. Whereas we would have seen a New Zealand referee signalling right from the moment of the infringement. Paraskov and their support here. Raducanu, but the pass was forward.
That's 2 tries that have been thrown away by Romania through forward passes. Very difficult to say who's in the wrong. I think if the man always supporting it should be behind the man with the ball. Or do you say the ball carrier should not pass if the man is in front? 6 of one or half a dozen of the other, I presume.
14 minutes of this match have elapsed here at Eden Park, and Zimbabwe, against predictions, are leading by 4 points to 0. Jellicoe does well to clear that to Graham at second 5'8", gets away from Tofan, looking for some support, couldn't quite get the pass to Zimba, but knocked forward, I think, suspect there by Zimba. The referee has allowed play to continue. Dorka with his first touch of the ball. And the Romanians look a little rattled, and there is big gaps in their defence here at the moment. And the Zimbabweans putting pressure again on the Romanians. This is where they want it. But Twana goes in, and a speculator from Alexandria. That's not going to help his team's fortunes much, and they're really on the back foot now. Dorka only a couple of metres from his own line. And really, the Romanians are going to have to tighten up if they want to do any better than that in this match.
And that looked as if Dorka actually threw the ball into touch then. And the Rhodesians are really firing. And as you say, Brendan, my prediction might leave a lot of egg on my face.
Well, it's the Zimbabweans with Zap, and the Romanians look rattled at the moment. Coming in on the wrong side, the Romanians receive a defensive penalty, which they will be and Eric Barrett takes the short throw in to Malcolm Sawyer. Travel 5 metres, so it's a legal line-out. Good play here by the Zimbabweans again. Brown having a little jab on his own, almost up to the 22. This is very good play indeed by Zimbabwe. Barrett to Brown again, back inside to Barrett. It's Eric Barrett on the left wing, inside the Romanian 22. And there's only one team in this match at the moment. And here goes big Mark Neal, and that try really had to come. It's been brewing for the last 4 or 5 minutes, and he used every ounce of his 17-stone bulk to bullock his way over for the last few metres of the try. Zimbabwe ahead by 8 points to 0. And after constant pressure, the pass eventually came back to Neal from the loose ball. It was Jellicoe that picked it up. He couldn't get his pass away, but Neal, who was on hand, picked up the ball, and with sheer brute force, he went through the tackle of Twana and stretched out a big right arm to get the try.
And Zimbabwe really playing above themselves at the moment. There's Jellicoe there picking the ball up, and then the big forward, look, the big Zimbabwean forward, Neal, just picked it up, and there's no way that anyone's going to stop him. Look, he stretches out his arm for the try.
22-year-old Mark Neal made his debut this year in 1987, and here he is again. A human tank, virtually. Ferreira, 10 metres in from touch, trying to make it 10-0. But he struck that very poorly. So 3 shots at goal for Ferreira today, and he's missed them all. But the Zimbabweans, in the throes of pulling off a real surprise here, ahead by 8 points to 0, and perhaps more significantly than that, they're ahead by 2 tries to 0. And we've had 18 minutes of play in the first half.
when you think, Brendan, they've only got 7 teams to actually pick from, they are playing fantastic rugby, Zimbabwe.
Knocked forward, and so we come back for the scrum. Now this must be, there may well be a sense of deja vu descending on this Romanian side. They might think they're back in Dublin at the moment where they were 6 months ago for the most shattering moment in their rugby history when they were beaten 60-0 by Ireland. But at the moment they look completely bewildered out there. There is no cohesiveness, there is no unity, there is no purpose at all to their play. Tuara up from fullback. And again the pass is astray, and scooping up the loose ball, away go the Zimbabweans again. Here's the big man Neil. And they just have the momentum going for them at the moment. Zimbabwe, they're on the crest of a wave. And it's going to be very hard, I think, for the Romanians to break out of this cycle at the moment. Superb take from Christian Raducanu, the Romanian number 8 in the middle of the line-out. He acts also as their chief line-out jumper. This is better stuff from the Romanian forwards. The little dummy from Alexandru, Tofan, but still the mistakes coming from this Romanian backline. And away once again comes Zimbabwe. Pereira chases on, back there is Hodorka. That wasn't a terribly wise thing to do for Hodorka as he speculated with his foot. If he'd missed it, the line would have been open.
I don't think he's got the biggest half of the business, Brendan. There's a quick throw in though by by Zimbabwe.
And away comes Dimitriash for Romania, up to the 10-metre line, tries to find his outside centre Tofan. Morariu, Paraskif, Hodorka up to halfway. That tackle looked as if it might have been a little late, but the referee has ruled that it was in fact legitimate, or has he? I think he's given them in fact the option for the penalty or the scrum for that late tackle on Hodorka. And a chance here now for the Romanians from this penalty that has resulted for that late tackle to put some points on the board. And this is Hodorka, who came on for a replacement, who in turn now is suffering from what looks like a fairly nasty blow to his ribcage after that tackle.
Here's Hodorka going along the sideline, and see the way he kicks, and that was very late by Mr. Neil. And so Hodorka is in sort of in great pain.
The Romanian coach and doctor, the Romanian baggage man there as well, but Hodorka looks as if he in fact has recovered his breath. He might have been just winded more than anything, but yes, his ribs I imagine are feeling a little sore at the moment, but he will continue. Important kick here for Dumitru Alexandru from about 35 metres. Yes, he struck that well. And so, after 21 minutes of play, Romania post their first points here at the World Cup. A penalty to their fly half, Dumitru Alexandru, and it's 8 points to 3.
And that's what Romania wanted, to get on the board, because they have been playing like a team of schoolboys. They don't seem to have any combination whatsoever. Perhaps there's no communication in their side, no backing up, nothing. They've got to settle down now and realise that, OK, they've got 19 minutes to go in the first half, so the game's a quarter over.
Alexandru from just outside his own goal line, and he really does have a huge punt on him, this lad. It's a massive kick. That's a kick Roger Gould would have been eminently proud of. The Romanians have certainly trained very well here in Auckland this week. They've settled down well, staying at a very nice beachside motel in Takapuna, and they've thoroughly enjoyed the week they've been here, and they've trained long and hard, but perhaps they're still suffering from nerves out there. And rattled by that early try, of course it's always harder then to settle down when you're coming from behind. You do concede an early try. But that penalty goal might have just been the fillip they needed. They are a very good international side, as their record does show, but they just can't seem to get things together at the moment, and there's another pass that's gone astray. They had some marvellous results in the early 1980s. They beat France, they beat Scotland, they beat Wales. Then during a tour of England in 1984-85, their rugby started to go wrong, and a string of embarrassing defeats followed. They were beaten by places like Tunisia and Russia, and the Italians beat them as well. And then the most shattering blow of all, that 60-0 hiding to the Irishmen in October of last year. Since then, they've only played one international. That was against Italy, who they beat 9 points to 3. But in light of what happened to the Italians yesterday, I don't imagine we can attach much importance to that win. Also, earlier in the 1980s, they turned on a very good display against the All Blacks at Bucharest in 1981, and I'm sure any All Black who played in that match, who's watching this match today, will testify to the strength of their forward pack on that occasion. They were beaten 14 points to 6. And here's another mistake. This time from their fullback.
Offside.
Tuada, he dropped the ball, and his fellow player touched it from an offside position. So everything going wrong for the Romanians at the moment, and Jellicoe, I think, was contemplating taking a tap kick, but wisdom does prevail here, and Ferreira must kick the goal from this handy angle. Yes, I remember seeing some television coverage of that match between the Romanians and the All Blacks in 1981, and it was amazing to see the All Black pack being pushed around and the Romanian loose forwards getting to the loose ball first. The All Blacks got there by 14 points to 6. But they're not the same team today. Ferreira from 30 metres. This to make it 11-3. With his fourth shot at goal of this afternoon, Andy Ferreira, the Zimbabwe fullback, raises the flags and extends the lead again to 8 points between these two teams. Well, there is some support here for the Zimbabwean teams. Well, both teams, in fact, have a small band of supporters. Alexander with the restart. There are a whole heap of knock-ons from that kick-off. Sounded a fairly desperate tone to the voices of the Romanian pack there. Jellicoe, Brown gets away from Paraski. A fairly ill-directed kick into the arms of Tuada, the Romanian fullback. Keeps the ball in play. And Tuada has been penalised for charging into the Zimbabwe defender there without the ball. Just a little too anxious from his own kick, Marcel Tuada, the 24-year-old fullback for the Romanian side this afternoon. Craig Brown from the middle of the field. He hasn't found touch. Lungu looking straight into the sun. Tuada. Ferreira is going to attack from the back. The Zimbabweans clearly like to run the ball. There really wasn't much on for Ferreira there, but he was dead keen to run it.
He ran into one of his own players, so an accidental offside. So Romania get the scrum, and they do need to try just to get their tails off a bit, Romania.
Come on, Fisher!
There's nothing much wrong with the Romanian scrum so far today. That's one aspect of their game that has worked well. Long, sure pass to Tuada. That might be a better directed kick, or is it? No, it's again too deep. And another opportunity frittered away by Tuada. I just feel, Graham, that the Romanians just look a little too anxious. They just seem too keen, too anxious to put points on the board, and there's not enough build-up to their play. Neil back to Ferreira, and there is a calmness about the Zimbabwean play which is missing from the Romanians, which accounts for the reason why Zimbabwe's ahead 11 points to 3.
Put behind the line. Put behind the line.
Mike Martin.
Stay there.
Again, it's Raducanu who has certainly stamped himself in the lineouts as the key man. Christian Raducanu winning a lot of ball for Romania. Pariska, but he's taken by Lance Bray. Can't get his pass away to Alexandru.
Come on, boys, get there. Well done, Coachy. Quick.
Jellicoe can't free his pass to Neil, so he goes the inside to Baton Dark, who knocked the ball forward.
As I said, the Zimbabwe coach, Brian Murphy, said he was going to take them on up front, and he's got some big boys there in his side.
So for the third time, the scrum goes down. This time Grigore gets his foot around it and hooks it back for his halfback. Alexandru kicking for the 22, but he's well astray with his kick. Peter Colback, the new cap, the only new cap on this field today, playing on the right wing for Zimbabwe. Like approximately half of this Zimbabwean side, Peter Colback is a farmer. Sprinkling of tobacco farmers in this Zimbabwe pack. Tough, rugged men. He should have to be to farm in Zimbabwe. Back to Brown, who seems to have recovered from that fairly early nervous start, but he's still astray with this kick. Lungu, full of activity on the left wing for Romania. Colback. Mike Martin, the tallest man in the Zimbabwe team, at 6'4".
I say Stefan Constantine might be in a bit of trouble there, because that was a good left hook to the jaw there.
Poor old George Elcombe. The Zimbabwean loosehead prop was on the end of that. He probably doesn't quite know where he is at the moment.
There was a bit of how's your father going on in that maul, and suddenly number 5 just straight in front of the referee. And you wonder what someone has to do to be ordered off in some of these situations. But I'm sure that Steve Hilders doesn't want to be the first man to have sent a player off in the World Cup. Might be different if the Zimbabwean went off. Zimbabwe get the penalty.
So Captain Jellicoe on halfway. He's looking at Craig Brown, who's looking at the post, and I think he's going to kick for goal. So it's beyond the range of Andy Ferreira, their fullback, but Craig Brown fancies his chances from 50 metres, and so he will kick for goal, hoping to make it 14 points to 3 with just 8 minutes of play remaining in the first half. 2 tries so far in the match. Both to Zimbabwe, one to Zimba after 6 minutes and another to Neil after 17. Ferreira a penalty after 26 minutes. For the Romanians, Alexandru a penalty after 23 minutes. 11 points to 3 with Brown kicking for goal from 50 metres, right on halfway. No, and he didn't time that at all well, and it travelled much more than about 30 metres. As big Stefan Constantine has a run to Alexandru, but again the pass goes straight. David goes in to try and gather up the loose ball for Romania, but it's gone into touch. So another line-out to take place. The Romanians are ahead by 6-5 in the line-out count, thanks to Raducanu, their number 8, who has now moved into the middle of the line-out. For the Zimbabwe throws, and it's Romanian ball, despite the fact that it came from the Zimbabwean hooker, the throw-in. This is David, their left centre, outside centre. Rigorgo, the hooker, carries it on a few metres. Alexandru, Tofan. Oh, goodness gracious, the mistakes are just cascading from this Romanian side this afternoon. Again, these very tough, rangy Zimbabwean loose forwards coming away with the ball. Paraskaf on the counter-attack. Towed ahead by Stefan Constantine, who's showing a surprising turn of speed for a lock forward, sprinting after the ball.
I think Paraskaf has decided that as a captain he's got to do something. And there he was by the touchline, and he took off in the middle of the field running backwards. Because this Romanian side is not firing at all.
Well, I know in some quarters amongst the European media people that are here, there's a thought that if there is going to be an upset in this championship, it could come from Romania, who could perhaps make their way into the quarterfinals, but they're going to have to play an extremely better than this if they've got any chance at all, even in this match, let alone about thinking of going any further. Paraskaf, Raducanu times his pass well to Hodorka, but Hodorka stepped into touch. Now that was better play from the Romanians, the support and the understanding between Paraskaf, Raducanu and the right wing replacement Hodorka. 5 minutes remaining in the first half. To halfway go the Zimbabwe forwards, led once again by Andy Tucker. The ball has gone forward, and dangerous head-eye tackle there from one of those Zimbabwe players results in a defensive penalty to Romania. Zimbabwe team can be immensely proud of their performance so far when you consider there are only 7 teams in Zimbabwe, 4 in the capital of Harare. There's another 2 club sides in Bulawayo and 1 in the city of Gweru. So only 7 club sides in the whole country. Offside, and another penalty, and another opportunity here for Romania to put some points on the board. Malcolm Sawyer just a little too quick there, and caught offside with 4 minutes of play remaining in the first half. Dimitru Alexandru with his second shot at goal. He was successful with his first from a similar position after 23 minutes. A very important kick. The Romanians, who have played so poorly in this first half. But it's a stray to the right. And disappointment etched on the face of Alexandru. He realised with time running out in the first half that 3 valuable points at this point of the match would have put Romania right back in the game.
Referee takes the scrum there from the knock-on by Neil. Another double kick-off by Zimbabwe. But now a chance for Romania. Only about 5 metres outside the 22. The back's in very deep position.
They've had very few opportunities like this. Let's see what they can do. Alexandru, a difficult pass. He had to stop and check his momentum. David going back on the inside, loses the ball forward. The referee plays advantage. Zimbabwe coming away with it. Knocked forward by Eric Barrett, who had come in from the left wing. So another opportunity here from Romania. They just look so hesitant, the Romanians, when they do have the ball. There's just no directional purpose about their play whatsoever. Particularly in the backs. Their forwards, in fairness to them, have performed a lot better, both in the set pieces and not quite so effective in the loose, but they have played better than their backs. David, that's better stuff. That's more what we would expect from this Romanian side.
That's the move they were practicing on Thursday over the shore in their training run. It's actually quite a cunning move, but the Zimbabwe side never moved from their position, so it didn't really work.
So now, for probably the first time in the match, Romania inside the Zimbabwe 22. Constantine manages to tap it back, but it's untidy ball for Paraski. Paraski having a little charge on his own up to the 22 into the last 2 minutes of play in the first half. Zimbabwe ahead by 11 points to 3. Alexandru. Wada up from fullback.
Penalty, running interference. It's the old North Auckland move, and Steve Hilditz, the referee, saying that it looked like it might have been David or Kofan was running interference, running in front of the ball carrier, and Mr. Hilditz very quick onto that. Quick tap from Zimbabwe.
Well, we might come back and have a look at that decision of the referees. The old-fashioned shepherding, I suppose you'd call it. Now that is half-time, so at the end of 40 fascinating minutes of rugby here at Eden Park, Zimbabwe, much against the run of play, are leading their more fancied opponents, Romania, by 11 points to 3. 2 tries to 0. Zimba and Neil scored the tries. Ferreira kicked a penalty. And for the Romanians, after 40 indifferent minutes of rugby, the only points they have scored came from a penalty in the 23rd minute by their fly half, Dimitru Alexandru. We'll be back in a minute with the second spell. Play here at Eden Park will be underway in just a few moments' time for the second spell. We might just go back and have a look at that shepherding incident which happened in the dying minutes of the first half, which resulted in a penalty when a try really was on here for Romania.
It was. There's the skip, and you can see it looked like Tofan went through the gap. It was actually, there's Twada going, but it was all over back upfield where Steve Hilditch was adamant that was shepherding. When you're running in front of the ball, you are, I suppose, offside technically, or running shepherding as we used to call it. Interesting that the Irish referee was very quick onto it. You'll see it again from end on, to see that it's going right across, and there he is, running interference. And North Auckland perfected this move in the 1960s with Ken going and Big Rod Jones, and they got away with it for quite a few seasons, actually, until the referees got a bit touchy.
Well, it didn't escape the vigilance of Mr. Hilditch, who picked it up very quickly. He didn't waste any time at all.
And there's Pat Long, the Zimbabwe Masua in the middle of that Zimbabwe team. Of course, Pat Long is the Canterbury Masua, has been for many, many years, an All Black Masua in the good old bow and arrow days when I used to play. Almost a household word in Canterbury, isn't he, Brendan?
That's right. He's also looked after many of New Zealand's leading athletes. I can remember Rod Dixon used to swear by this man faithfully back in the early 70s when he was resident in Christchurch, but now he's turning his skills to keeping the Zimbabwe team and their muscles flexible and supple. And I'm sure these are 15 very happy young men, the Zimbabwean team, who have done their country proud on the basis of the first 40 minutes of their appearance at this championship. There's Pat Long, the Masua with the Zimbabwe team, who also have enjoyed themselves immensely in the week they've been here in New Zealand. They have themselves a delightful motel right next door to the Avondale Racecourse, and so they can just walk from their rooms and 2 minutes later to be on the fields at the Avondale Racecourse where they've trained, and weather much like this for most of the week as well. And although they've come from the warm climes of Africa, they have felt very comfortable here in Auckland for the past week. Dimitru Alexandru about to restart this match. Craig Brown lets the ball go, and play will restart from the 22. I suppose, Graham Thorne, it's about now that I should ask you if you want to revise your 35-point hiding that you made, prediction that you made before the match.
Well, yesterday the All Blacks scored 50 points in the second half, Brendan. But Romania will have to get their act together very quickly if they're going to run up the sort of score that I perhaps foolishly predicted. But they will look for the first 5 minutes.
Padaska scurries away from the opposition. Hodorka, but there's no real support there for Hodorka. He's surrounded by green and white jerseys inside the 22. No support play at all there for Hodorka. It was a promising move that Padaska mounted, but it just ran out of steam. Now there's plenty of room here for the Romanians. They must put something together here. Oh, goodness gracious me. And Graham goes in and clears into Zimbabwe. Well, they had the whole paddock there to move. There was an overlap of at least 2 players, and the pass was just tossed willy-nilly in the direction of the winger.
Offside. Mark Neal, the big number 8 from Zimbabwe.
Alexandru with what will be his third shot at goal. He's missed with one, succeeded with the other. And of course, if he can land this goal, it puts Romania within 6 points again of Zimbabwe. So it is a very important kick. It's the longest kick he's had. It's a kick of about 40 metres. Well, it was a bit like a pitching wedge shot on a golf course. It went very high and dropped just behind the crossbar, but right between the uprights. So 3 very valuable points to the Romanians, and it's 11 points to 6 after just 3 minutes of play in the second spell.
That's just what the doctor ordered for Romania, but now Zimbabwe has to come back and score a try. I think it's very important now that Zimbabwe do this to get some more points on the board, because I believe that the Romanians have now got their tails up a bit.
Padaski, and his passing Alexandru hasn't always been as well directed as it should be, and again we saw Alexandru having to pluck that ball out of the air. Offside. Alexandru puts his side on attack again. Midway 22 and halfway inside the Zimbabwe half, and for the first time in the match, Zimbabwe reverting to the short line-out. Although they didn't do too badly in the first spell. And they have, I guess, one ball ultimately from this short line-out. Jellicoe going the short side. Not a bad little kick either. Tuada elects to leave it and let it bounce. Fortunately for him, the bounce was consistent. Romania won the line-outs by 9-6 in the first spell. And they also won the scrums by 8-3. There were no tight heads. Alexandru with again a poorly directed kick. Barrett has come in from the left wing. 35-year-old Eric Barrett, the oldest man on the field. And Barrett puts the ball into touch. And he's another interesting fellow in the Zimbabwe team. In fact, was a national selector up until January of this year. Then he decided he'd like to play in the World Cup, so he did the correct and ethical thing, resigned from the selection panel and went back to playing, and found that the man who replaced him has selected him in the Zimbabwe team for the World Cup. Shoving in the line out. Paraski contemplates whether they should kick for goal. Yes, I think they will.
They have got the wind behind them. It's a southwesterly still blowing here at Eden Park. So Alexandru has got a bit of help. It's still a very long kick, and the way the goal kickers have been kicking today, it would only be an even money bet.
Alexandru from about 45 metres. And that's a strange looking trajectory, quite the opposite to his last kick a few minutes ago, which went high and dropped neatly over the crossbar. That hardly got off the ground. But
he would have got 1 point in a soccer match, so Brendan, it went between the goalposts.
Well, the Romanians were quibbling earlier in the week about these balls. They weren't terribly happy with them. They found them they got very greasy very quickly in the wet. And maybe the kickers are having some difficulty as well, because the ball doesn't seem to fly as sweetly as it does from the old balls that we use here in New Zealand. However, the Romanians on attack again.
Hodorka is not having that good a game, Brendan, is he? He's having all sorts of trouble out there on the right wing.
Well, I'm just at a loss to explain why this Romanian team are not playing better than this. They were adamant that their performance against Ireland was only a temporary aberration. Again, good ball from Raducanu. Another chance for their backs. Tofan, David, the gap is there, the half gap. Lungu. No real support again for Lungu. Only 15 metres short of the line. Paraski. Dimitrash, 10 metres short. Concerted effort coming here from the Romanians. The referee's whistle has gone, and he's called someone out to have a word with.
I think you've picked the problem up, Brendan, about the support play. As the referee talks to Lance Bray there for something, he's going to give a penalty. The flankers, the loose forwards for Romania are not getting to the ball. The support is not there for the Romanians, and that's their problem as I see it.
Well, I suppose if the Zimbabwe team carry on making mistakes with the frequency which they have been since half-time, it's possible that Romania could win this match, but really they had no chance against France or Scotland based on their showing so far today. And they do really rate themselves with a chance against both of those sides. France and Scotland, the other two teams in this pool, and teams that Romania have beaten in the 1980s. And of course that match will be played at 3 o'clock this afternoon in Christchurch, and I'm sure both of these two teams will be very keen to have a look at that match.
And then, of course, at 5 o'clock in Sydney, another big game, this time in Pool 1, Australia versus England, and that will decide who's first and second in that group. The other two teams are the United States and Japan.
Well, this is what the penalty was for.
We'll just have a look and see number 2, looking for number 2 for Zimbabwe.
Meanwhile, Alexandru, from a very handy position, has landed his third penalty and his second of the second spell, and gradually Romania on the scoreboard anyway, getting back into this match. It's 11 points to 9.
And it looks like the Romanians are coming back just quietly into this game, putting pressure on Zimbabwe. And as I said after the last penalty, that Zimbabwe has to come back. They've got to get the tails up by scoring a try. The confidence thing.
Laurentiiu Constantine waiting for the catch. He took it well. And maybe the key in this match for Romania will be their forwards, because they increasingly are controlling the set pieces. Barrett. Twada. Meanwhile, one of the Romanian lock forwards, I think it is Laurentiiu Constantine, who took the kick-off, has suffered a blow. And on comes the Romanian doctor to have a look at him.
Going back to the footballs they're using, Brendan, something about white footballs that I've always had this, shall we say, aversion to. And I remember going back to 1980 when the All Black trials were at Hamilton, and some of the possibles just kept dropping the ball. They do get very slippery in the wet, although there's no excuses today.
Mr. Hilditch not happy with that line-out, so he's asked Lance Bray to throw it again. Short line-out. It's taken by Stefan Constantine for Romania on their 22. Paraskev finds Alexandru. Well taken by Eric Barrett to Ferreira inside his own half. And the Zimbabweans going to have a little dab here. Zimba, who seemed very good with the ball. They speak very highly of him. Beautiful play from Zimba. Cut out his man superbly. Colback up to the 22. David coming away with it for Romania. But the whistle had gone. But oh, the silky skills of Zimba there look most impressive. The touch judge on the far side, Dave Burnett from Ireland, has got his flag up. He spotted an offence by one of the Romanians, and he's now talking to Steve Hilditch. And he's having a word to Emilian Grigore, the Romanian hooker, and he's been penalised. Well, it's been a fairly disciplined approach from the Romanians so far. They haven't conceded many penalties in this match, just 4 compared to the 10 from Zimbabwe. But this is one which could result in 3 points going to their opponents. Ferreira again from 30 metres. His 5th shot at goal today. A very vital kick in this match. which is going to finish with very little points between the two teams, I suspect, and they could be 3 absolutely vital points in this game to Andy Ferreira. 14 points to 9, a 5-point gap between the two teams. So Romania, of course, could still win this match with a converted try, but they really haven't looked as if they're capable of scoring a try so far in this match. The Romanians, remember, have scored, the Zimbabweans, remember, have scored 2, both in the first half. Although they dominated that first 20 minutes of play, the Romanians, particularly up front, have managed to get back into this match. But it's really only when the Romanian backs get the ball that their game starts to fall apart a bit. This is a good run from Stefan Tofan for Romania, 10 metres short. Neil picks the ball up to the 22. The ball had been knocked forward.
And Mark Neal wasn't offside there for Zimbabwe. It was from loose play, not set play.
Paraskev. Dimitru. Well taken by Andy Ferreira. Gets away from Paraskev. Kevin Graham coming away with it to Zimba. Zimba hasn't found touch. Twada. An awful mistake again from Twada. Just dropped the ball and knocked it forward. And he's had a game and a day that he won't remember or want to remember for very long at all.
The big numbers in the Romanian side have not done too well. The 15 and 16. Twada and Hodorka. But Zimbabwe, when they get in trouble, as they did there, they've always got support and they get out of it, the old Houdiniacs.
Yes, and their ball skills have been most impressive. They've dropped very few passes, and there's always been a man on hand, as Graham Thorne said, to extricate them from those situations where they have been under pressure, where the Romanians invariably will commit these unforced errors. Paraskev keen to take the tap kick here from the penalty. Perhaps an indication that they just are starting to get a little desperate again. But there it is. Again, for no reason, the pass just dropped, rolled forward from Vasily David. There's centre, and so the scrum to Zimbabwe. The question now, I suppose, must be, with 25 minutes of this match remaining, whether this very inexperienced young Zimbabwe team can hang on against their much more experienced opponents. Lorraine Constantine with the ball, freed for Paraskev. Alexandru, Twada, Hodorka. But he hesitated and he was lost as he was engulfed by the enormous frame of Mark Neal, who just, with almost contempt, drifted him into touch. The Romanians starting to dominate these lineouts in the second spell. That's only the third lineout Zimbabwe have won in the 17 minutes of play we've had in the second spell. Romania winning the lineouts at about 2-1 at the moment. And that could be ominous for Zimbabwe.
And here's a golden chance now for Romania. They've got quite a big blind on the right-hand side.
Paraskev having difficulty clearing it. Coming away with it again to Zimbabwe, Craig Brown, first 5'8", and the 19-year-old has had a pretty good game for Zimbabwe. He's only ever played twice for his country, and they were against internationals against Portugal earlier this year. Well, this is a bigger occasion today than anything he's had in his life before, and apart from that very nervous start when he put the ball into touch from the kickoff, he's played pretty well. More problems here for Romania. Dimitru Alexandru has got an injury to his leg. Alexandru, who was one of the two members on this side, as I mentioned before, toured New Zealand in 1975. He played at centre on that tour. And like most of the players in this Romanian team, he comes from the capital, Bucharest, which is the great rugby playing region of Romania. In fact, 11 of the 15 players in the yellow jerseys today come from the city of Bucharest, where they play for one of two big clubs there, the Army or the Police. 6 of them are policemen and 5 from the Army team. Still a delightful day here at Eden Park, and this crowd of a couple of thousand have enjoyed this most unusual spectacle of these two teams from such vastly different cultures and vastly different parts of the world playing here on Eden Park. Helping to give a truly international flavour and image to this inaugural World Cup. And Alexandru, the 33-year-old, playing today in his 42nd cap, has decided that he will continue. 23 minutes of the match remaining, and Zimbabwe hanging on by 14 points to 9. Raducanu got his hands to it. More clean ball for Paraskov. Gets away from Baitendark. David. Left behind by Hordorka. And a little skirmish about to flare up on the outskirts of that ruck, which was quickly extinguished by the stern voice of Mr. Hilditch. Tofan kicking over the top, but waiting underneath it was Dirk Baitendark for Zimbabwe. And a feaster ball here for the Romanians, but what can they do with it? Hordorka, they're playing a lot of the ball to him, and he's not having a very good game. He wisely gets rid of it. He looks so relieved when he gets rid of the ball.
They're running across field. That's the problem with the Romanians. They just are making out that the sideline is actually the goal line. And poor old Hordorka, who's not having the greatest game in the world, is getting the ball when he's running straight towards the grandstand.
Well, I think Alexandru is going off. He's suffered an injury earlier in this half, and he's not feeling well, and he'll leave the field. It'll be interesting to see who replaces him, because their second string fly half is not in the reserves. Zushku, and Graham Thorne's favourite rugby player, Leviu Hordorka, has come into first 5-8.
You never know, though, Brendan, that Hordorka could be a natural fly half, which is a bit different from playing on the wing. He's now going to be the kingpin of the Romanian side. No, he's called us all liars, because he's coming out to the wing again.
Vasily Yon has come on and will play at first 5-8. Well taken by Brown. Cut out his opposite man, the new fella on the field, Yon. Zimba. Now there's room here for Richard Zimba, and there's the overlap. Zimba on his own. Oh, lovely stuff. Can he get there? What a try! And it all started way back and halfway. Watch Craig Brown, the way he cut out Yeon. That's where the gap opened, and he timed his pass nicely to Richard Zimba, who cut back in. And the sweet skills we've seen of this man this afternoon very rarely burst into life as he just went straight through the Romanian defence, cut out 4 players, and had the pace to show a clean pair of heels to the defence. And the first black player ever to represent his country, Richard Zimba, scores what could well be the decisive try in this match.
What a brilliant try. Watch the way it was Brown that set it up. And here he is, coming inside. The fullback running off him. Still going. David tried to tackle him. still going, and watch the dive. And it actually has hurt his shoulder because he's having attention now. There goes the dive right on the point of his right shoulder.
And I think he may have injured himself in his exuberance to score that try, but who can blame him? 21-year-old Richard Zimba, a 21-year-old aircraft technician from Harare, the first ever black Zimbabwean test player, playing today only in his 5th test cap. And they speak very highly about this young man. They claim that he is a player of genuine world class. That's what they've been telling us this week. And after that performance and one or two earlier breaks we've seen from him in this match, he certainly has lived up to his reputation. I don't think there's any way you'd get this fellow off the field at the moment. I'm sure he can't be feeling any pain. The toast of his nation at the moment, Richard Zimba. And the try was converted from right out in front. And Zimbabwe well and truly in control now by 20 points to 9. And that really is a fair reflection of this game. Forget about the fact that they are much more inexperienced than their opponents. Forget about the fact they've had very little contact with any of these countries here at all. They have just played a lot better than the Romanians, as simple as that. And they deserve to be ahead, 3 tries to 0. Any team that can outscore its opponents by that sort of margin deserves to be ahead. Swada. The Dorka. It's not a bad kick from the Dorka. Callback has left it behind, 5 metres short of the line.
Come on. Come on.
I don't think he's really right, actually. He's still favouring that shoulder after that dive for the try.
The scrum just a matter of metres from the Zimbabwe line. Paraski, but he didn't ground it. 5-metre scrum. 17 minutes of the match remaining here at Eden Park, and Zimbabwe ahead by 20 points to 9. It will require a Herculean effort here from the Romanian team to bridge that 11-point gap in the remaining 17 minutes of this match. Paraska, he saw the gap, but he couldn't get through there.
Penalty, playing the ball on the ground. He actually had been tackled, and the referee very quick to point out that fact to him. So Zimbabwe get a reprieve.
Penalty against Mircea Paraski, the Romanian halfback and captain. And Brown 10 metres from his own line. What a kick. Well, that's extraordinary. The Romanians did not even try and catch the ball. They just watched it bounce. Perhaps they thought it had already drifted into touch, but it hadn't. But then it did. And so Brown earns 50 metres for his side. And I just think the Romanian spirit has been broken. Men adrift on the grass of Eden Park at the moment. Jon, the new man on the field, playing at fly half. Herrera happy to let the ball roll over the goal line and play the restart from the 22. Well, if the Zimbabweans can hang on for the remaining 16 minutes, this day will rank, I'm sure, alongside one or two of those other great days in their history, like in 1949 when they drew and beat the All Blacks. And the joy of the day has been tarnished a little here by the sad sight of Richard Zimba. This exciting left centre that they have, who was leaving the field. The most talented player we've seen on the field today, and he scored a try we will long remember here at Eden Park. But he injured his shoulder when he dived to score the try, and it's obviously causing him so much difficulty he's decided to leave the field. And here it is. He realised that the try line was all there, and he made the most of it, but he just went, as they say, right over the top. And he literally went over the top and injured his shoulder. So Zimba departs, but he's more than done his job for his country this afternoon. He's given them an 11-point lead. Tapped by Laurenti Constantine to Paraska. He's lost it forward. It's there for the Zimbabweans. But will come back for that knock-on from Paraski. And Zimbabwe to feed the scrum right on halfway. This is, by the look of it, Andre Baitendach, whose brother Dirk is already on the field. So there's a set of brothers now on the field for Zimbabwe. And Malcolm Jellicoe just indicating to the referee that he'd like to have this full complement of men on the field, and so Baitendach has joined, and Romania losing the ball forward, but the referee playing advantage here to Zimbabwe, but there doesn't appear to be much accruing to the Zimbabwean team. That will have the scrum, and I think he is coming right back, so he did let play continue for quite a long time there, but Zimbabwe were really only going across the paddock, so the scrum to take place midway 22 and halfway.
And the statistics been an interesting reading. In the line-outs, Romania are ahead by 15-8. In the scrums, 16-5. And yet they're down by 20 points to 9. And I think the Zimbabwe boys are now looking at the clock. It says 13 minutes to go. And this will be one of the great victories of all time for Zimbabwe.
Yes, as I said before, I suppose it'll be the greatest day in Zimbabwean rugby since those dates back in 1949. And in many ways, this is an even more meritorious win because there's only a very small number of players that play this sport in Zimbabwe. Since independence in 1980, the European population of Zimbabwe has shrunk from 275,000 to a less than 100,000, although 75% of the schoolboy rugby population in Zimbabwe is black. It is still a sport, as we can see from the side here today, that is mainly the domain of the Europeans. But it appears to have a very bright future. Paraska from the scrum. Bukan, the prop forward, he just manages to hang on to the ball, but in doing so, he's given the Zimbabweans time to gather him in. He needed the quick hands there.
That was a reverse role then, Brendan, because we had a flanker and a prop forward out in the centres, and effectively they threw the try away.
Well, perhaps they're just a little frustrated with the performances of their backs this afternoon and are trying to do something themselves. Paraski. Must be a try, yes! So at last, Romania post a try in this match, but has it come too late? Just 12 minutes of the match remaining. And at last, Paraski, the captain who's been scurrying around these scrums all afternoon, manages to find a way through, scores the try. This is how it came. Scooped out there by Dimitriash to Paraskov, who really, I guess, was playing at fly half there. He managed to find a way through the gap and scored the try. 20 points to 30.
In effect, though, he nearly blew it because he sent the dummy and just got tackled on the line. But it's a try.
And he, too, appears to have injured himself in the dive to the line.
You go get that. Get that. Get that.
Here it is now when Demetrius took it off the back and sort of left, as we said yesterday. There's the big dummy. And Paraskov goes through. He nearly got caught, actually, but over he went.
And with Alexandru off the field, it's his replacement, Vasily Yeon, who's having this shot at goal. Looks like he's a left-footed kicker from this angle. And he's not much more successful than the man he's replaced. That was a pretty vital kick too for Romania, because if he had converted that try, they would have been only 5 points in arrears. So now they still have to score twice if they want to win this match. They've got 11 minutes of the match to play.
And it'll be the longest 11 minutes that any of these Zimbabwe players have ever played. I can tell you that now.
So a true test of their young mettle to see if they can hang on for this 11 minutes. And if they do, it doesn't really matter what happens in the remaining matches in the World Cup. It will have been an outstanding success for them. But they've still got to get through this, as Graham Thorne said, what will probably be an interminable period of play for them. 11 minutes. And the Romanians are winning so much ball at the moment that it's going to be a question of defence, defence and more defence for Zimbabwe. There it is, another ball for Romania from the maul. And there's a big gap here. Away goes Stefan Constantine. Now where's the support? He's got men outside of him. Twada. Oh, back come the Romanians. This match is not over yet.
They've suddenly lifted their game completely, Brendan. Romania, in the last sort of 90 seconds, have become a different team.
It's been a dramatic transformation. Gone is the lethargy. There is new purpose and new zeal in their side, and 2 tries have come in 2 minutes. It was the big man, Stefan Constantine. Here he is shrugging away the tackles. You wouldn't believe this man is a lock forward. Look at the way that he's moving. And he's got a sidestep as well. Over the 22, the support was there. And Twada, his hands for once didn't fail him. He got to the line. He had Hodorka outside of him as well, but he didn't need the extra man. The try was scored. It's 20 points to 17. And Jon endeavouring to convert the try. He's 9 metres in from touch. It's perfect kicking conditions. The ball is dry. The ground is hard.
He started to run. He started to run. It's off. It's all over. He's going to have a go now. No, he's given it all away. He started to run in as the ball fell over, and that was it. So the luck is not running Romanians' way.
Well, there may not have been much luck there, but I think there's a clear message as well. He should have taken more time when he placed the ball. Let's go back and have a look at the try.
And here's Constantine, and what's the sidestep off the right foot here that just beats Ferreira. Brown is coming across from the right. There he is, but Constantine gets the ball to Twada, and Twada scores the try.
And the Zimbabweans feeling the pressure. Another mistake from the kickoff. Into touch on the full. They tried something tricky. They went on the open side, but in their eagerness to confound their opponents, they put the ball into touch on the full. Scrum to go down with 8 minutes of play. Baraski, and again the gap is there on the open side. Twada, Hodorka. Now has he got the legs? The chase is on, but the defence is back there. Brown, but he carried it back. Suddenly the Romanians are playing like the team that we know they're capable of playing.
Yeah, they've been keeping these 15 players, Brendan. If they had a cupboard or something that suddenly opened. Well, it could be that just the Zimbabwe team is just running out of puff.
I think that may well be. Baraski.
I said before, Brian Murphy, the Zimbabwe coach, said he was going to take them on up front. He hasn't been that successful, and I think they're starting to get a bit tired.
Yes, Zimbabwe have only won 3 scrums in the second half. But there's one that they've won, which I'm sure they didn't expect to.
It might have been a bit burglary-like, Brendan.
Rod Gray, one of these men who has given so much for his side today, and he can be immensely proud of his performance, as can the other 14 men in the Zimbabwe team. They're ahead by 3 points, so there's still a bit of work left for the Romanians yet, and very little time left for them. But their play over the last 10 minutes has been quite remarkable. No comparison to the side we've been watching for the previous 50 minutes. But the Romanians still with this frustrating ability to throw it away when it looks so good. But Askif doesn't know where to go. He's going on his own. Jon, the long pass to Dimitras, who can't find Trout. The ball is left behind. Callback giving chase. And Lungu goes back and steers the ball into touch.
This is survival by Zimbabwe. They've taken every chance in this game, and there's Romanian players down in all parts of the ground.
Remember, it was 11 points to 3 in favour of Zimbabwe at half-time. They extended it out at one stage to 14 points to 3. Then 2 penalties by Alexandru brought the Romanians back into this match. Then that superb try to Richard Zimba, the Zimbabwean centre who had to leave the field after scoring the try, seemed to have put Zimbabwe beyond touch at 20 points to 9. And then suddenly the transformation in the Romanian side, and 2 delightful tries in a couple of minutes, but they still trail. It's 20 points to 17. They are winning so much ball at the moment, just now, that it doesn't really matter if they make the odd mistake, because they're getting so much possession. Ferreira. Brave play from Andy Ferreira. Might have been better if he'd put the ball into touch rather than carrying on with the counter-attack.
But I tell you, Brendan, there's some tired boys out there. The old jet lag is starting to catch up on these Zimbabwean and Romanian boys. They are so tired. They're worn out. There's 5 minutes to go. And they've given their all.
We've had 16 scrums in the second half of this match, and Romania have won 13 of them. It's principally why they've been able to close that 8-point gap at half-time to 3. But Askif, but he can't get his pass to Jon. And Buchan acting as dummy halfback to Jon, who's angling for the corner flag. Very good kick. Perhaps they should have had this file one from the word go. Year-old Vasily Jon, who's played 9 times for Romania, so he's no newcomer to international rugby. 4 minutes of play left on the electronic clock here at Eden Park, and Laurentiu Constantine, who left the ball behind, and the Zimbabweans have been penalised, caught offside. Now what are the Romanians going to do? Are they going to settle for 3 points in a draw, or do they want the 4 points in the try?
They want the 4 points. They've got to take 4 points.
Well, it's always a very difficult decision, a dilemma for the captain. Paraskov has decided. And there's a planned move on here. The long pass, and it could have worked.
Knock on and goal. Knock on and goal. It looked like Dimitras that knocked it on. There's a quick kick-off from Zimbabwe.
So Dimitras, as he was grounding the ball, must have just lost the ball forward. He gathered it in again, but the knock-on, and so the referee called correctly the dropout from the 22.
Here it is here, the charge. There's Dimitras, and there he is. He lost it in goal. We saw it right in front of us.
Raducanu going high again, winning ball once more for his backs. David, Stofan, Tlaga, now Hadorka. He's got to pin his ears back and go. Brown's giving chase. Hadorka gets through the tackle and has scored the try.
Tremendous stride. And he's so happy too.
He hasn't had the greatest of games here at Eden Park today, but suddenly it's all come right for Leviu Hodorka, the replacement right winger. Right at the death knell, he scored the try. Well, the old saying, I suppose, cometh the hour, cometh the man. And the moment had come for Romania, in injury time, when Hodorka was given room from 30 metres out, he pinned his ears back and set off for the corner flag. Craig Brown came across, a weak tackle he slid out of, and Mark Neal got there too late, and Hodorka was over for the try.
But the great thing about this try was that the Romanians finally ran straight and took the ball on a straight line, and watch Hodorka, he comes inside the defence and scores the try. He's been on again. Here he comes inside a tackle, despairing tackle by Barrett and Neal, but the try was still scored. And unlike games such as cricket, where you can have a first ball duck, in rugby football you can play like nothing on earth and still come out the hero, and he has today. We've played 44 minutes and 50 seconds in the second half.
Get clearance for the doctor first, okay?
And one of the Zimbabwe players has left the field with an injury as Vasily Ion endeavours to put Romania further ahead. But it's well out to the left, and for the first time in the match, Romania hit the front with just 2 minutes of the match remaining. 21 points to 20. Remember, they were down by 20 points to 9 midway through the second spell after 22 minutes when Zimba scored the try for Zimbabwe. So they've come back with only 18 minutes of the match remaining and have turned that 11-point deficit into a 1-point advantage. And one has a certain amount of sympathy, of course, for the Zimbabwe team that performed with so much courage and so much adventure for this match, but in the finish their lack of experience has just told against them. But these tigerous fellows from Africa have gone looking for the ball again. They're inside the Romanian 22. The crowd is on their side. The crowd wants the Zimbabwean team to win here. Ball has been knocked forward. And once again, Zimbabwe just a little too eager, and they have been penalised. Well, I couldn't help but think of the World Cricket Cup a few years ago, where the Zimbabweans brought off a major upset when they beat the Australians, and I thought, well, maybe their rugby team, inspired by that performance, we're going to do the same here at this World Cup. But time, right at the death knell, appears to have run out.
But they're in perfect position now for a drop kick, don't forget, Brendan.
We are less than a minute of play remaining, 56 seconds left on the clock.
They've got to try and set something up in midfield, perhaps, for a drop kick.
They've got to win it, first of all, from this very untidy line-out, that short line-out. And this could well be the last scrum of the match.
Romania get the put in.
I have no doubt that Yeon will be happy just to put this ball over the grandstand and into the car park. 30 seconds left on the clock. And the referee decides that that's it. So joy on the behalf of the Romanian side and despair on the faces of the Zimbabwean team, who had made all the running in this match and had led from start until the 78th minute, when that try by Hodorka changed the fate and the outcome of this match. It really was a very exciting second half, a match which produced a flurry of tries after the Zimbabweans made the early running with those 2 tries early in the match. They led 11-3 at half-time. They appeared to have put the match beyond reach with a brilliant try by Zimba midway through the second spell to give them a 20 points to 9 lead. But back came these Romanians, and 3 tries in the space of 10 minutes in the last quarter of the match turned out to be the critical phase of this World Cup match here at Eden Park. And in the end, Romania sneaked home by 21 points to 20. Graham Thorpe.
It's all credit to Romania for coming back, but one has to feel sorry for Zimbabwe. They did everything to win this game. They got that big lead, 20-9. They played very attractive football. All credit to them, and their coach Brian Murphy, who told them to have a go, and they did up front. They didn't get much ball, and they still managed to push Romania so close. You can't believe the statistics, you really can't. 18-9 in the lineouts and 21-6 in the scrums. You can see how much ball that Romania had, and yet Zimbabwe just kept on and kept on. And probably the result was the one that was right, but you have to feel sorry for them, don't you, Brendan?
Well, one does feel sorry for them, but they can go back to Zimbabwe and they can hold their heads high, because it doesn't really matter what they do in the next couple of matches in this World Cup. They have performed outstandingly well here in this one performance. They'll make it Eden Park, and they can be justifiably proud of it. Peter Williams. Well, we'll be back with Peter Williams and Norm Wilson, who I'm sure will have some interesting things to say about this performance. And hopefully somewhere down there underneath the grandstand is Philip Leishman, who may have one or two of the captains with us. Philip.
Indeed, and first of all, Maciej Paraschiv, congratulations. A tremendous return to winning form, but many problems at the start for you. What was wrong?
First of all, I'm happy to win, and in the first time we don't understand what happened with us, because I think we don't accommodation enough, but I know we have a good fitness. We prepare a very good fitness, and after the half time we can to
recapture the power to fight and to regain the strength.
Okay, well, congratulations to you. Malcolm Jellicoe, a very quick comment from you. Thank you for what a great exhibition there today, and you'll obviously be disappointed with that result, to lose so close.
Yes, that's right. Well, firstly, I'll say congratulations to you, and well done. Came back well at the end there. We're very unfortunate we lost at the end there. Losing our centre there, Dick Simba, gave us a bit of hesitation in the back line, and they broke through twice at the end there, which never happened. And losing him there, we lost that final understanding with the new centre and the wing. Weren't quite right, and that's where they got their gap through. I feel, oh, the chaps played a good game, but I'm just sorry we lost by so narrowly. We should have won the game.
Well, Malcolm, we enjoyed seeing you out there today, and we'll look forward to your match against the two games to come, France and, of course, Scotland. So lots to look forward to, and the same for you, Maciej. Thank you very much.
So that ends this second game here at Eden Park in the 1987 inaugural Rugby World Cup. It was a vastly different affair from what we saw yesterday, but in the end it proved to be a very interesting spectacle for those that came along to Eden Park to watch this game between Zimbabwe and Romania. 41 points the match produced, and in the end the Romanians got there by the skin of their teeth, 21 points to 20.